there's a link right there if you guys would like to become a member. Um, and yeah. And I'm gonna hand this off to Marshall so you can explain the Spring RVB.
So if you haven't heard already, Swift is hosting their I want to say semi-annual competition, RVB. The theme this time will be an Italian kitchen, Swift's homemade homestyle kitchen, whatever you want. This is a competition that allows you to learn and test IT, system administration, and IR skills. This event will be, did I write it down? I should have, yeah. April 14th from 12 to 4:30. Signups will close April 5th at 11:59. You can sign up with teams of up to 4. If you don't have a team, we will help find you a team. And this competition is guided at all skill levels. And this event will be very practical and quite elaborate. So hopefully you'll have fun actually competing in it.
Thank you, Marshall. All right. So today is March 26th, and the meeting's titled Microsoft Sentinel Attacks in the Wild. We will not have a workshop Friday, and this is where we are in the Academy's schedule. So who am I? My name is Julian Andrade, and I am a third-year CIS major. I'm also an intern at Streets LA right now, and I'm also a current intern or Swintern for Swift. So here is a little bit of what we're going to be going over today. So first, we'll talk about the basics of Microsoft Sentinel and some of my reasoning why I think you guys should learn Sentinel. And I'm also going to cover a little bit about honeypots today and how I made a Sentinel honeypot or a honeypot in Sentinel. And I will be concluding with some resources and a little bit of wrapping up. Yeah, so here are the basics for Microsoft Sentinel. So Sentinel is a cloud native SIM solution combined with a SOAR solution. A SIM is a security information event manager, and basically it takes all the logs from an operations standpoint and helps you manage that information. A SOAR is kind of like a solution to respond to those logs and detect, or yeah, it's a solution to automatically respond to those security logs, and its acronym stands for Security Orchestration and Automation Response. So yeah, so also Microsoft Sentinel is a cloud native SIM solution, meaning that it's hosted on the cloud. Compared to your traditional SIM solutions, where they would have to be on premises on the host machines, Microsoft has created Sentinel to be hosted on the cloud and can be ran from a browser. So the 4 main components of the SIM solution called Sentinel is to collect, monitor, and detect, investigate, and respond. And here are some little bullet points of what you can actually do. And we'll cover those a little more later. So first up, in Sentinel, you would want to kind of bring in that data. And there's 3 main ways to bring in that data. The first that I'll cover are native data connectors. And this is basically through Microsoft's own their own infrastructure or their own platforms. It makes it really easy to connect your data from, for example, Azure Active Directory into your Sentinel platform. And same thing with your on-premises or infrastructure as a service. Logs, you can also bring those in. And what they also allow for is to bring in some threat intelligence from various security vendors like FireEye and CrowdStrike. And all this data kind of goes into the log analytics workspace. We'll talk about that in the next slide. So this is kind of what it looks like to create a workspace. A workspace is essentially just a place to manage different types of data in a separate like environment. And right here it shows that you can create like um, different workspaces in various resource groups and locations, and kind of like separate your logs and operations to kind of make sense of it all. So so Microsoft Sentinel uses their own query language called Custo query language. Um, and it kind of looks like that on the left. This is a simple KQL statement. Um, but basically it's a way to query data or query logs your from your operations. And it was developed by Microsoft in order to help make querying a little more intuitive and um, yeah, just to make it a little more intuitive. And it's also a real-time querying language. So it's able to kind of parse data and bring it in um, as kind of as it's updated. Um, so yeah, and on the right is kind of like how I queried made a query for a workbook later on, and I'll talk about that a little more in the next few slides. So yeah, you would want to, once you're bringing that data from the log analytics workspace, you would want to monitor it through different workbooks. Sentinel offers some pre-built templates as shown up here that make it kind of easy to get going and get started and monitoring your logs and operations. And they also give you the ability to create your own custom workbooks. And this can be things like visualizations, reports even, or just text that you may want to bring in. And yeah, so part of the solution is to actually respond to these threats. And there is a separate section in threat management, a blade called incidents, that allows you to create teams and assign tasks, as well as manage different cases. So there's different levels of severity that you can establish on these incidents or on these incidents you make. And they allow you to kind of create a team based on what types of incidents you may have. So different people in your organization, for example, can be in like the same team and manage. There can be multiple incidents and different teams managing those incidents. So another part of Sentinel is the threat hunting aspect, and essentially they give you a bunch of different options here, including frameworks, as shown here. And this one is the MITRE ATT&CK framework, which is a framework that's kind of shows the kind of proven techniques and tactics that attackers have used in the past to compromise systems. So right here is a framework that's posted, and it kind of shows, I believe this one is, yeah, so this one's a workspace I created, and basically it's kind of like giving me information on how to better mitigate these potential compromises. So this one is a brute force one, and it kind of just like tells you that this is something you need to work on and fix. Um, and yeah, so part of the SOAR aspect of Sentinel are the playbooks. The playbooks are a way to kind of automate your incidents or your low-level incidents so that it can clear up the noise. So a security analyst can work on the higher level incidents that are currently impacting your environment. So a few main types of playbooks include the alert and triage playbook, the incident investigation and response, and compliance and remediation. And right here shows that Sentinel offers like many types of templates that you can use to kind of get started and secure your operations. So lastly, I'll talk about the role-based access controls or RBAC. Um, and the way this is set up is there's four main roles, and these include the reader role, responder role, contributor role, and the playbook slash automation operator role. And basically, this is kind of a way to assign various levels of privileges to users in an organization. And this is kind of important because it kind of ties in with the least privilege necessary principle, um, which is kind of like a way to um, prevent things like breaches from happening from a phishing email to a lower level user, and kind of like things like that. So next up, I thought the community aspects was kind of a cool little part of Sentinel. It's built right in, and it kind of allows you to get a bunch of different information from the community and posted on their like in a section in Sentinel. And I think it's kind of cool because it's like part of like getting a more secure operation is collaborating. And they do this in a way that is kind of competitive, but also like kind of fun. So this is kind of why I think you should learn Sentinel. So I thought KQL was a little more beginner friendly compared to other SIM tools. And if you're looking to like work in like, for example, like Microsoft, I'm sure they would like you to know some KQL and be familiar with like Microsoft Sentinel. And another thing to know is a lot of users use Microsoft, or a lot of companies use Microsoft products. So having a little bit of knowledge in um, Microsoft's own SIM platform could be good and marketable if you're looking for jobs similar to Microsoft. So here's the next section. Um, so here's a little bit of an intro to honeypots. So what is a honeypot? A honeypot is kind of like a way to um, kind of like bait attackers into um, kind of giving you their techniques and tactics. They appear to be vulnerable, but they appear to be vulnerable in a spot that can be a little less, a little less, let me see, I guess like a little less like important, but seemingly important for the attacker side. And this kind of like gives you a way to be a little more proactive and add another layer to your security. So there's a few types of honeypots. A couple of them include malware honeypots, spam ones, database client honeypots, and a honeynet would be kind of like a network that's mimicked to be real, but it's actually just uh, not really a production environment. So yeah, so for example, a spam honeypot would be one that accepts like spam and kind of like figures out how, or yeah, accepts spam, and then a security analyst can figure out like, oh, like this is how they're sending out spam files and how it's getting through. Um, they may use that information to further protect their email servers so they don't have any spam similar to that one in that they received in the honeypot. Um, yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, they identify techniques, tactics, and procedures, and you're able to capture their payloads. So what this means is that, for example, if it's a malware-based attack, then you can use that signature that you receive from the honeypot to put it in your detection-based systems and prevent that from ever getting to your systems. It can also be like an early warning sign. Say you can put say you put this honeypot in a spot where it's not really important, but it's also not super exposed. Um, so it could kind of give you that point where um, you would be warned, but it wouldn't be too bad for your company or your network. And you can actually be able to respond to it because it's just a decoy. And right here on the right are two images of um, malware databases. And the one on the bottom is malware from that someone on the internet captured from one of their honeypots. So this is a little bit of an overview on how I created a honeypot in Sentinel. So basically, I created an insecure VM that was able to be brute forced. So I turned off the policies on Windows on the Windows VM and uh, dropped all the firewalls. Um, I also from there I connected it to the log analytics, and from there I made a simple PowerShell script to send that log data from the VM to the log analytics workspace. And lastly, I use workbooks to create a visualization as shown here. That visualizes where the RDP brute forces are coming from and which ones are the most, I guess, active. So yeah, so simply this is kind of what like the PowerShell looks like, and this is kind of a funny way to do it, but it's sending the logs to the log analytics workspace, and from there I'm able to actually build the workbook. Um, yeah. So like I said earlier, this is the workbook and kind of how it looks like. So on the top is the KQL query used to bring in that log data. And on the right, I'm able to kind of tune that map and create a visualization that looks that kind of tells me something. So in this workbook specifically, Vietnam was like brute forcing. I think it was like up to like 20K times. I left it on for a few hours. So that's one thing to note. There's always bots on the internet or bots that are looking to brute force. So never drop your firewalls. Um, and yeah, that's kind of that. Um, but yeah, that's basically it. Really short meeting today. I just wanted to cover the honeypots, and here are some resources that I thought were pretty cool. So if you're a student here at Cal Poly or a student in general, you get up to $100 of free credit, and you're able to use that with, I believe it's pretty open. I would just say that the VMs you can create aren't too powerful or too resource heavy, but they do give you free options. And yeah, here are some resources that I thought were informative about honeypots, and I listed one as well for the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And that's it for today. Thank you.
All right, very cool. Thank you, Julian. So yeah, pretty short meeting since spring break is next week. Um, there's Taco Tuesday right after this. The events on Discord. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So if you're graduating and you want a cool stole to go with your graduation, please fill out the form on Discord. Jessica also announced it. I'm not sure if it's on Linktree, but Discord is the single source of truth, right? Um, yeah, make sure to sign up for RVB. If you're new, come to Taco Tuesday. You'll get to talk to some of us. It'll be pretty fun. Yes. Yeah.
So this Thursday, one of our SLIP alumni is coming here to talk about ITC and IT security. So if you're interested in competing in ITC for the IT security portion, it'll be the case writer and grader, Mr. Alex Selovich. So
That's
I
crazy.
think that'd be a really cool person to talk to, especially since he's been some good political stuff in general. So yeah, please come out Thursday if you want to. And yeah, it'll be helpful for anyone who's competing too. So
Yes,
Can I plug a link?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so also this Thursday at UR, Women in Tech is hosting a resume workshop with a recruiter from CrowdStrike who's going to be presenting on what good tech resumes look like and tell you do's and don'ts if you want to write up your skills.
Oh, yeah, you just, all
Oh.
right, by Zoom, we'll see you next time, in like 2 weeks. But yeah, bye.